are woefully uninformed, and it's not because they don't want to be informed. If you go out and talk to people nationwide, you'll discover that a lot of people really are concerned about what's happening, right, with the economy, with the wars we're fighting, and so on. That people are a lot smarter than you would think, simply from judging the spectacle that everybody is exposed to.
September 11th was pre-planned to bring in a new world order.
Imagine what the world would be like with him in power. The idea is to try to help change the Middle East. And so my answer to your question is that imagine a world in which Saddam Hussein was there, stirring up even more trouble in a part of the world that had so much resentment, so much hatred.
Another name, of course, that comes to mind, Muammar Gaddafi, Libya's strong...
In 2008, Gaddafi announced his intention to dissolve the country's existing administrative structure and disperse oil revenue directly to the people. The plan included abolishing all ministries, except those of defense, internal security, and foreign affairs, and departments implementing strategic projects. In 2009, Gaddafi personally told government officials that Libya would soon experience a new political period. He also promised to include international monitors to ensure fair elections. His speech was said to have caused quite a stir.
Probably Washington. I was writing about a terrorist attack by someone like Saddam against Washington when all this...
War on terror has the ability to allow the U.S. to carry out military operations that since 2001 have taken the lives of more than 1 million civilians. In Iraq, in Afghanistan, now in Libya, and of course that leads to an escalation of resistance, of hatred, of revenge. And so in terms of keeping the American people safe, that's a ridiculous notion.
That's why he's already sent tens of thousands of more troops to Afghanistan and will in the end decide to send tens of thousands more, because that control and domination of the Middle East, a strategic and resource-filled region, is too important for the U.S. global empire.
We were led by President George Bush into Iraq, chasing the wrong target. It was a war of choice. We cannot recall the money spent. We cannot recall the life lost, not even get an apology for making the mistake. That led into the war into Afghanistan. And while we have this expanded military budget going for Iraq, Afghanistan, and now for Pakistan,
Americans were just waking up to their day on September 11, 2001. No one could have been prepared to look up at this precise moment. But all the plane shots are aimed at the direction of Flight 11, which came from somewhere out of nowhere.
And just scream right into the side of the and just scream right into the side of the Twin Tower. Scream right into the side of the Twin Tower. Nowhere and just scream right into the side of the Twin Tower. Nowhere and just scream right into the side of the Twin Tower. And just scream right into the side of the Twin Tower. Scream right into the side of the Twin Tower.
For us, the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order. A world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations. When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision of the UN's founders.
What is at stake is more than one small country. It is a big idea, a new world order. were intended to frighten our nation into chaos and retreat. But they have failed. Our country is strong. A great people has been moved to defend a great nation. Terrorist attacks can shake the foundations of our biggest buildings, but they cannot touch the foundation of America. These acts shatter steel, but they cannot dent the steel of American resolve. America was targeted for attack because we're the brightest beacon for freedom and opportunity in the world. And no one will keep that light from shining. Today our nation saw evil, the very worst of human nature, and we responded with the best of America, with the daring of our rescue workers, with the caring for strangers and neighbors who came to give blood and help in any way they could. Suiciders to kill innocent life, who had relations with Zarqawi. Imagine what the world would be like with him in power. The idea is to try to help change the Middle East. Now look, part of the reason we went into Iraq was the main reason we went into Iraq at the time was we thought he had weapons of mass destruction. It turns out he didn't, but he had the capacity to make weapons of mass destruction. But I also talked about the human suffering in Iraq, and I also talked the need to advance a freedom agenda. And so my answer to your question is that imagine a world in which Saddam Hussein was there, stirring up even more trouble in a part of the world that had so much resentment, so much hatred, that people came and killed 3,000 of our citizens. You know, I've heard this theory about,
There'll be a time for politics, but you've also said you wanted to change the tone of Washington. Howard Dean recently seemed to muse aloud whether you had advanced knowledge of 9/11. Do you agree or disagree with the RNC that this kind of rhetoric borders on political hate speech?
Yeah. There's time for politics. And, it's time for politics. And, it's an absurd insinuation.
In that case, sir, can I follow up on something unrelated?
In 2001, after the World Trade Center bombing, my detachment was alerted to deploy to Afghanistan to conduct unconventional warfare operations. In 2001, after the World Trade Center bombing,
I want you all to know, you can't go any louder. I want you all to know that America today is on bended knee in prayer for the people whose lives were lost here, for the workers who work here, for the families who mourn. This nation stands with the good people of New York City and New Jersey and Connecticut as we mourn the loss of thousands of our citizens. I can hear you. The rest of the world hears you, and the people who knocked these buildings down